Hello, hi everyone, and welcome to our next painting webinar. Hold on one second. What am I doing here? Okay, yes. Today is Friday, July 29th, 2022. Thanks for being here. If you're joining us live and if you're watching us from the future, hello. And thank you also. We're super excited because we have taken a month, a little bit longer than a month, to work on pieces that we started at the beginning of the year. I was able to work on 2, so it's been really good to have this time to build some more work, and it was a great opportunity to do that. But now we're back on to painting new collections, and we're excited for this new theme. We're painting self-portraits. It's been a while that we haven't painted portraits, so we wanted to move away from still lifes and go back into portraiture. We haven't done a self-portrait in a very long time. I forgot when was the last time we did a self-portrait, but this is a great opportunity to say hello to you, Jen. How are you?
Hi, I'm awesome. I'm so excited to be back and for us to be in our groove again.
Yeah, it's so great. Thank you so much. We're always excited to connect. We're always excited to have an opportunity to hold space for ourselves and for others so we can actually commit to a practice. So it's been really great, and also excited to get back into our routine. So in case we're going to do a little quick recap. I didn't get a chance to send an email last night. We had a private session and then I was just done. But essentially the concept is very simple: a self-portrait painted with earth tones. And the earth tones that I'm going to use: raw umber, burnt sienna, and ecru. That's it. So you can expand if you want. If you want to incorporate Van Dyke Brown, that could be an interesting addition. In fact, I'm maybe just going to do that, but no white, no black. So the idea, no gray. So the idea is to use the same palette as Eugene Carrière, I believe that's how you pronounce it, which was a French painter at the end of the 20th century, no, I'm sorry, 19th century, yes, who used a very restricted palette. We fell in love with his work. The minute that we saw it. We've been talking about his work and him for a long time now. Jen, you are the one who retrieved the information. So we're excited to do something inspired by his work, and hopefully this will be an opportunity not only to practice color experiments, but at the same time to get in touch with his body of work. Really briefly, before I start sketching, I just want to share some of the images. And we don't have information on the year or the title. Hold on one sec. I'm just going to do this. But here we go. The year of the title. But you can see pretty much we selected the paintings that are very representative of that restricted palette. Sometimes it was more burnt sienna. Sometimes it was more raw umber. We don't think he used white, except for a couple of portraits. Maybe we can zoom in. So there's something really strange and weird about this. Is a self-portrait. We believe, we don't have proof, we don't have receipts. We believe he used white to paint the lips. They look strangely frosty. So hold on one second. Hold on a second. Oh, yes. So we believe that he, whoopsie. All right. Okay, one sec. I'm just doing something. I think that's it.
You got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So we believe that he used white for the lips, and perhaps because he had something about, or he preferred to add black to the eyes. So it's a very, I just don't know why there's not a fan club of Eugene Carrier. We would be #1 in that club because it's so strange and weird, and so not the trend, I guess, at the time. Yeah, there's something. Oh, I wanted to kind of like show. Let me see if I can make the this one right here. We also believe it was really hard to expand the view, but we believe on this beautiful portrait that he also used white on the lips, just on the lips. And maybe this is a combination of both burnt sienna, raw umber, and perhaps just because this is not transparent, and this is the reason why we're limiting the palette to 3, certainly almost like 90%, 99% sure that he used ecru, raw umber, burnt sienna. All right, so let's start sketching. And what I'm going to do, or what I did, I love this so much that, oops, I decided, oh, can I do this? Wow, okay, sorry.
Looking amazing.
No, I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, discovering. So I decided to do it smaller this time. Instead of like the 12 by 16, I decided to use a board, just because I have a thing for self-portraits. I find them very special. So I wanted something, not that I have anything against cotton paper. I think that's a really gorgeous material and support, but I just wanted to have something a little bit harder. So I'm going to do this on 9 by 12 board. I'm intending to practice for a few sessions. I also took a picture this morning. I was laying on the floor completely, I don't know what I was doing. It's kind of like not thinking, but I took a photo on the floor, and I printed the photo and I just did it black and white. So if you don't have a photo, you can take a picture right now. If you don't want to do a self-portrait for whatever reason, you don't have to. It could be a portrait of someone else. So don't feel like this is restricted in the sense that you have to do a self-portrait. It could be somebody else. And you could easily turn the image black and white on the smartphone or whatever you're using. It's not complicated or difficult. I wanted to disassociate facial features with what I think facial features would look like, and that's why I'm going to start sketching this upside down. It's a way of removing that association. I have no idea, but I think that's what I'm going to do. No idea of what this is going to look like. But I think it's a combination of feeling a little bit confronted by the image and also trying to disassociate. Something about self-portraits, I haven't done it in a long time. So this is a must. So yeah, really strange artists. Sometimes once in a blue moon, in one of the auction houses presents one of his portraits, but it's not a very well-known or a well-known. Yeah, I don't know, Jen, if you wanna take a look at the Wikipedia page, Eugene Carrier,
Yeah.
and see if there's anything there. He was friends with all the famous peeps.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's all I know.
Yeah, I was just in the Cleveland Museum of Art, and I'm looking up that now to see if maybe there's something there that I missed, but it seems like everything they have.
Oh, that would be interesting to find out which museums may have.
Yeah.
You don't have to, only if you have like.
Oh no, totally.
Yeah, because they would be interesting. I have never seen a painting Oh, what did I do? I think, sorry. I have never seen a painting by him anywhere. So yeah, it would be interesting. The paint's very thin. There's a lot of transparency. It almost feels like it's the imprimatura stage. So that's also very radical. At the same time, the edges are completely blurred, so there's a lot of sfumato. So I'm going to try to incorporate stylistic elements similar to what he incorporated. Sfumato, transparencies. Yeah, just think like it's really strange. And so we wanted to title this self-portrait with Earth palette. And then I was saving things and moving things, and I tried to make like a shorter name for the files that I was saving, and I used self Earth, and I thought, oh, this is kind of like a good name for this collection. That's why we switched it to self Earth. And I kind of like the connotation of that that name, self Earth, something that feels connected with the earth, something that feels in unity with earth, grounding. We always talk about these colors being the most important colors on any palette. And I don't know if I should use this, but we would, as people say, or I've heard, we would be willing to die on that hill. That probably is like a really bad history about that phrase. But yeah, we should just use a more contemporary meme. Earth colors are the most important. Change our mind. Sorry, it's too early. It's not too early. It's 11, for God's sakes. All right, Jen, any discoveries, any juicy gossip?
Okay, so his self-portrait, I don't know if the Met owns it and it's just not on view or what it says. So, okay, tell me what you think this means, Julio. So I go down and I look and it says credit line, purchase, Albert Otten Foundation gift, 1979. So does that mean they were gifted the painting?
Are you looking at a website from the Met Museum?
Yeah, from the Met.
Yes, so it was gifted, yeah. Does it say that it's on, if it's on view?
It says it's not, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's probably, they probably recognize the donors of the painting.
Mm-hmm. But then, yeah, so it's his self-portrait, the one that we've been looking at, circa 1893. And it says, this self-portrait, part of a series begun in 1887, exemplifies Carrier's signature approach. Nuanced undertones and hazy brushwork create the impression of the figure materializing out of or moving into the surface of the canvas. The misty appearance of Carrier's work was prized by contemporaries tired of precisely detailed and realistic paintings. A critic once compared Carrier's style to that of his colleague Auguste Rodin, writing, "Rodin paints in marble and Carrier sculpts it with a sheet." Isn't that beautiful?
Thank you, Jen. Can you save that page, please?
Yes, I will put it in the notes.
They were friends, Rodin and Carrier. So
love it.
Wow. It's fascinating also that the critics didn't cancel him, I guess.
Yeah.
Because this is so strange. It's such a weird...
Right.
What do you think? I mean, what do you think of the portraits or the style? What kind of like sort of like emotion or thought?
Oh, I love it. I love the way that or whoever at the Met just described it, that they're emerging into it or fading back from it. That's such a beautifully worded visual, that exactly exemplifies what that looks like. And you and I talked yesterday about, this work being in this like almost sepia tone, and how, I don't know, I feel like for me, it forces me to look deeper, to come forward, and to not just let color really dictate how I see it or what I think of it. That it really kind of forces you to step forward and look at all of the detail of the work.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And I love, you and I talk all the time about when detail matters and when it doesn't. And to see someone who made his entire career out of not having specific detail, or detail is the wrong word, but how everything isn't painted, like incredibly, I don't know, how do we say it, Julio? Like
Suggestive or something?
Yeah, it's not worked over constantly.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
more of this dreamlike digestion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love it.
Yeah, we've been talking recently. You probably have heard this before, but we've been talking. It was a definition or a description that was in What Painting Is book a couple of seasons ago. The author defines painting as this magical thing that happens between the eye and the mind. And to me, what you just said, Jen, it's sort of like builds on this idea of letting the mind put the rest of the painting together. So a painting, by this description, shouldn't provide all the information. It should be someone's mind who puts together the entire painting. So that's when the magic happens.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Same thing in a performance, in acting, kind of left to the viewer to fill in the blanks, to put their own feeling on what the character is going through, to reach inside and, connect with that character from an audience point of view, instead of having the character completely give every bit, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, I'm trying to, I mean, every painting, two things. Every painting feels like the first painting, and also every painting is an opportunity to practice something new. So I feel like, with this concept and this style, I'm going to try to be a little bit less constrained by not detail, likeness, and embrace a little bit more randomness. So I would encourage to kind of like embrace distortion and use it. Distortion, it's such an expressive tool to communicate feeling. So I think take the opportunity to do this portrait without being too concerned about resemblance, about likeness, about replicating anything, about proportions, but let this sort of like soft approach, or yeah, I like the word soft, soft approach to prevail. I've been trying to go to yoga classes a little bit more often, and just trying new teachers and stuff. And sometimes there are certain words that are spoken that really affect your body. So this teacher, instead of giving instructions specifically, she said, soften up, just that, soften up. And immediately my body kind of like stopped being rigid. So I thought to myself, this is such a great way also to approach the creative process. Soften up, don't tighten up your creative muscles. There's nothing here that we need to necessarily overdo. We're already we already have all the tools that we need. We just have to soften up and let it kind of like come out of our hands. Sorry. It's such a great advice. Such a great advice. Okay, so I'm gonna, from the technical point of view, portraits require a little bit more time for sketching. So I'm not in a rush, and I'm just going to continue a little bit longer. We talk about what's the point right here? I forgot already. The boom.
It's like a, did we say key or something, or like
Something like that. Yeah, the trapezoid, the inverted trapezoid.
yes. Oh man. Oh my gosh. Everyone's yelling at the screen. Okay, hold on. Let me look it up.
Anyone, you're gonna get 50 points if you remember that thing. But yeah, so I kind of like look at it, but I try not to measure it. I also think of the keystone.
Thank God.
Yeah, so it's just crazy. But anyhow, so I tried to look at it and see where it is, the height, and also because this is a 3/4, I know that this eye, it's not in the middle, and it's not closer to the profile silhouette. It's much further to the left. So I'm actually going to increase that distance. Much further to the left. Okay, so I'm increasing the distance, and then, so Jen, if you can you go to the Gamblin, just because I know that there are different color sets, but if you can go to the Gamblin oil page and give us the name of other earth tones that are not the ones that we're going to use, because I feel like there are some deep reds that could also fall into this category that maybe we have and we could use maybe later on. And there's certainly an earth palette. And I know that there's like a raw sienna, burnt umber. It's the same color, but they switch the adjectives. Instead of raw umber and burnt sienna, there's a burnt umber and a raw sienna. But I just wonder if there's anything else.
Yeah, they have.
Go ahead.
Immediately I'm finding this group, the 3 colors called reclaimed earth colors. It says our first reclaimed color, Torrid Gray, has been popular since 1990s. We know all about that. Similar to Torrid Gray, the reclaimed earth colors are made with the pigment that has a story, and it talks about like pollution, solution, and a collaboration. Yeah. Anyway, those 3 colors are brown ochre, rust, wow. Rust red, excuse me, and iron violet. Yeah, they're pretty cool. And then let's see. Okay, so there's a raw sienna. There's a burnt umber. There's
any of the dark reds, maybe?
India red, Venetian red.
Yeah,
transparent earth red. Gold ochre. There's a color that I can't pronounce. It's like asphaltum.
Oh yeah, asphaltum. Yes. That's a version of a really old color. Yeah, it's a really interesting, almost black, right?
Yeah, a transparent brownish black. One of the most popular colors in the 18th century, recreated by Gamblin. It was true to historic working properties, but light, fast, and permanent. So the light fastness is 1, series 3, transparent, and it's alkali refined linseed oil. That's the vehicle.
Wow.
And let's see what else.
Interesting.
Look for the reds to see if I find anything more. Well, there's alizarin permanent is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's, those are kind of like great tones.
Yeah.
I think we have the Van Dyke brown. I think the brown pink is possibly a little bit too red, but I'm gonna save it because I think that could be a good addition because that's the only one we have.
Yeah. Cool. These reclaimed earth colors are super cool. I'm gonna put them in the notes as well.
I mean, I love those. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start. So I already noticed a couple of things that I need to readjust. I was gonna use the F word in painting, which by the way, it's fix, not F word in painting. Sorry. But I noticed that drawing wise, and I would argue, or I would recommend, or we would sort of like encourage you to make some reflections before you actually start painting. Because I don't have, okay, yeah, hold on a second. This is something, it doesn't matter how many times I do this, it just happens every single time. And I need to stop and then think of it. So I see this convergence towards the chin. So it feels pretty much, I'm gonna align my fingers like this. And then I realize that it needs to be a little bit more pronounced. So we tend to get affected by the horizontal and vertical edges of the format. It's amazing how this almost becomes a powerful magnet that makes our hand make lines that are looking like that. It's so strong and so powerful that I think it gets under our subconscious and we end up making vertical and horizontal lines. Doesn't matter what our eyes see. So that's number one. I just feel also that there is a tilt between the eyes. And I feel like I made the eyes too horizontal. So I love the portrait already. I think it's really great, but I'm gonna do something dramatic. I'm gonna get rid of both eyes because I don't wanna just move one and then see if that's gonna do the trick. I'm gonna move one up ever so slightly. And that's why during sketching, these things kind of like work out best. And I'm gonna move the other one down ever so slightly, even if it's way too exaggerated. I prefer the exaggeration rather than, yeah, I think already it's just amazing how such a small change can really affect. And also I see that this eye is bigger than the other because even though the visual plane seems the same, one is recessed, the other one is closer. So I took this image with holding the phone with my hand. So naturally, it's really close. So you can see a little bit of the distinction between the scale of both eyes. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I will try to make something more converging. Exaggerate that line already so much better already. These tiny adjustments will just give you such a powerful, such a powerful change and shift. They change everything. Okay. I think I'm ready. but yeah, spend some time. I think I'm ready. All right. So during the sketch, we want something that gives us an idea of the direction, but we don't want to be way too specific. I feel like a sketch is something that organically happens. I feel, even though we respect every artist. The other day we were in a conversation, and a very good conversation in which artists actually describe their process. And some artists use projectors, some artists were using grids. So it was a really frank and open, honest conversation about the process that artists use to sketch, which is something that, you know, never gets revealed or talked about. And I was a proponent of a more organic freehand style because I believe distortions are emotional punches. So it was an interesting, yeah, it was an interesting combination. So my point is that don't overdo the sketch, just kind of like keep things a little bit open, not specific, because we will continue changing things on the sketch as we paint and giving that opportunity to make the expression even much more dramatic or expressive. And I am going to pick the colors, and I don't have them yet, but so no white, no black. All right, so let's kind of like, I'm not going to use the Van Dyke Brown yet. Oh my gosh, this is kind of like crazy. But I'm going to put on my palette the ecru. The ecru I'm going to put on my palette. I'm so excited about this, actually. So excited. So if you got a chance on the Wikipedia, I know that he talks a lot about the family unit. I don't know exactly what that's about, but he had this idea of like everything happening within the family circle.
Let me get back to it. I was on Wiki Art, Leo, but should I just go to the regular?
Oh no, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
It says his work influenced Picasso.
It's what? It's what?
It says his work, Grier's work influenced
Picasso. Yeah, I read that before. He influenced his blue period, which was the first period.
Yeah. Okay. He studied at École des Beaux-Arts.
Yeah.
Learned that last time.
That's the official school, I guess. That was the official school, so not an academy. Yeah.
About 1890, he adopted the gray, misty color scheme with contrast of light and shadow, so characteristic of his art, but which no other artist has been able to imitate without affectation.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know. Just, you know, we constantly keep finding these artists that they invisible, even though they were so influential.
It says that most of his work can be found at Musée d'Orsay in Paris and National Museum of Serbia in Belgrade.
Oh, wow. I wonder why there.
I don't know.
I mean, the page is not really very filled with details, I have to say. The Wikipedia page, yeah.
Yeah.
There's not much information. I mean, there is, but, and I don't know what the prices of the paintings are in auction. Sotheby's or Christie's.
Let me see if I can find that. That is interesting.
But I don't know, it's just interesting. Okay, I think I just needed a little bit of solvent, but I think I'm done. So I'm going to start darker to lighter. I'm going to do solvent first, and that's going to be the Imprimatura. And I am going to use raw umber as my darker color right now, although I think I'm going to bring some Van Dyke brown a little bit later. And yeah, so my palette has 3 colors right now. So no white, no black, no gray. And I'm using the photocopy, the copy that I did in black and white, and I'm gonna do darker to lighter. And I think I don't think I love the natural base that I'm using also. So this is gonna take me a little bit, but I'm very excited. And so I will sort of like continuously repeat this idea of the style, because I feel like it's so easy to lose track. Not that we have to oblige to painting exactly like him, but I love this idea of softness, of sfumato, of transparency, of space between the eye and the mind in which nothing seems recognizable, but it's our mind that puts the pieces together and creates the portrait. So I think that's something that I am going to try to not force myself to incorporate it, but I feel like thinking about it as I do it. It's not about an exercise of self-discipline. Thinking about it as I do it will infuse my own style of those principles. If there's anything I am not afraid of in life, in general, is of doing something that doesn't have my own style. I know that whatever I do, it's just going to have whatever visual identity it always has. But I think thinking about it informs my personal style and infuses it with a different flavor. So we're not copying a style, number one, because it's impossible to copy a style, someone else's style. It's just impossible. We're infusing our own practice with an inspiration based on someone else's stylistic principles. In this case, limited palette, thin layers, deconstructed or underdeveloped. Yeah. So I know that on the Wikipedia article, he is considered a symbolist. And I don't know, I never thought of symbolism having this sort of like subject matter, because he just did portraits. I think the symbolist, I see Odilon Redon as a symbolist, a little bit almost like dreamlike, not surrealistic, but incorporating mythology and symbolism, and I don't know. So I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think it's more about the time period, Leo?
Maybe.
Like if he were painting now, what would you call his work?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like obviously figurative. I don't know. I have no idea. But maybe it was.
Has anyone's? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
I was just gonna say, has there ever been a situation where an artist was named with a specific style during his career while he was alive, and then as time went on, it changed with kind of discovery of new styles or something like that?
Yeah, maybe not so much that, but not being able to be categorized.
Yeah.
Going in between or different. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So more than one movement, perhaps. Like Matisse, he was a Fauvist, but he was, I think Joseph Faves mostly maybe post-impressionist. I don't know,
Mhm.
but he was more than one. Um,
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like maybe there was a at the time, end of the 1800s, there was a lot of interest in spiritualism.
Mhm.
So I feel like this has more to do with spiritualism than symbolism. I mean,
Hmm.
for some reason in my head, there was a lot of interest in connecting with spirits, and people were like doing seances, whatever that's called.
Mhm.
And a lot of artists tried to, they were very metaphysical. Um,
Who decides? Like, who's like? Does the artist say I'm a symbolist or
it's the art critics mostly.
right?
Yeah, I would say it's the art
Hmm.
critics.
Fascinating.
Um, yeah. So I'm noticing that because my painting surface is a mid-tone, essentially it's a mid-tone. It's this brown. If I want to make this a little bit more contrast-like, I will need to use the ecru. I didn't want to use the ecru so early. We'll see. I'm just going to use only the raw umber right now. So in the presentation, we talked about one additional, we think, revolutionary approach, stylistic approach that was revolutionary at the time, was not only the sfumato, not only the restricted palette, not only, the edge quality was the same as sfumato, but the fact that he narrowed the spectrum between highlight and shadow. So usually on a painting, imagine Caravaggio, okay, chiaroscuro. Why is it called that? Just because there's such high contrast between the dark area and the highlight. So when you see this polarity, this really binary approach to value, where the shadow is really, 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 really dark and the highlight is almost white, the idea of contrast is quite visible. With Eugene Carrière, he didn't put those value poles, that far apart. The darkest shadow was always kind of like something medium, and the brightest highlight was slightly lighter. And we showed one painting as an example of this. I'm going to show you the painting as an example of this really narrow contrast scale, really narrow. I'm going to show you the painting. So this is a scene of a mother and a child, or a female figure and a child, or a figure and a baby. But notice that the darkest values are maybe on the top, maybe right here behind this vessel. But if you isolate it, it's not black, it's not super dark, and it's not sort of like, the idea that we assume a shadow should look like. Now go back and scan the image and look at whatever is highlighted or whatever it's really bright. Maybe this glow right here, maybe on the hand and the face, but it's not too far away from the shadow. So the polarity narrows. It's not black and white. It's slightly more earth and slightly less earth. So I think that's a fascinating concept. And I think I'm going to try to kind of like incorporate this on the painting. Try not to do the highlight super bright. We'll see what happens. But yeah, maybe I'm just going to start using, I'm going to give it a try, the burnt sienna as a mid-tone. Lots of rag use. Rags, rags, rags. Uh, Okay, so I have documentary recommendation that I watched the other day. It's called, and Jen, help me find out if it's recent or not. The Art of Making It. The Art of Making It. It's not on Netflix, I believe. I don't know where it is, but it's a documentary about the art, contemporary art world. And kind of like talks about it, interviews with really well-known people in the art scene that essentially are saying that it's the most toxic, the most
Oh, God.
after toxic, you list it, you know.
Right.
It's really, it's very good. It just gives you a perspective. It's a must watch. It's a must watch because sometimes I feel like we get sucked in this idea of making it, whatever that means.
Okay, so so it's made in 2021.
Okay.
2022, it was South by Southwest Audience Award, the Film Festival's Audience Award. It's by the producer of Emmy-nominated The Price of Everything,
Oh, yeah.
a film about who gets seen and who gets left behind in today's seductive, secreted, and unregulated art world. Let's see.
Where is it streaming?
It looks like it's streaming
Is it?
Amazon, Google Play, and YouTube.
Oh, okay. Oh, YouTube. Oh, and when was it released? Because I feel like, you know, I just discovered it and I thought that there was kind of like new, but obviously it's not.
No, I think it is. I think it's pretty new. Let me see. Festivals and screenings. It's going to be at a private screening in Chicago, Museum of Contemporary Art,
Oh, wow.
in August. You can see it in Toronto. It has a theatrical run right now. And in Montana. Past festivals have been in Montauk, Aspen. It was at an IFC in late June, early July. So it's pretty new. In Italy, May. Let's see. It looks like the first time it came out was March for South by.
March of this year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay.
Carl went to South by. I'll ask him if he
Say that again?
heard about it. Carl went to South by. He got COVID there.
Oh.
Him if he's happened to see it or
Oh,
anything about it.
interesting. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And, you know, it just makes you, it just gives you a good perspective. And it kind of like, it's a realistic approach. It's just kind of like says that all the players that are up there that we all from down below look up to either overtly or secretly and aspire to be one day, it's just the wrong approach. It's just not what it looks like. There are forces that are beyond our control that manipulate this illusion.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of Wizard of Oz behind the scenes, and there's nothing that is based on logic or reality. Yeah, it's just it's brutal. I mean, word of advice, just be aware that it will make you feel something. And hopefully that will be not to give up painting altogether, but understand that we need to switch the approach.
It looks like maybe the first screening, now that I scroll down even more, was in September of last year.
Okay.
Sotheby's in Chicago.
Yeah, I've never heard, I haven't heard anyone discussing it or writing about it. And I think it's a must watch. It's a must watch. Okay, so I am doing, I'm sort of like spending more time during the imprimatura. I feel like I see these paintings, I feel like they're fully finished, but they pretend, or they kind of like sit in also between sketching and first color notes, using the same analogy. They're sort of like in between. So I'm stretching the work that I would normally dedicate to imprimatura, which would be like 5 minutes. I think I'm kind of like stretching it a little bit longer. Yeah. So I'm also going to show another example of a painting by him that I took notes because I think it's really interesting, and I'm going to propose something about it. Okay, I don't even know how to. Okay, here we go. So there is another portrait finished by him. This one right here, that I'm completely mesmerized, hypnotized by the fact that the background is so streaky and thin and not smooth and not blended and not transitional. There's no representation. I step back. I need to step back a lot. If you are looking at the screen, step back, and it takes a while to recognize that he's leaning on a chair. That's the back seat of a chair. But you don't see it at first. You don't see it at first. You almost see it because, you know, you can imagine that that's a chair. And then also because there's the back seat of a chair also nearby, right here. So you imagine that if there are two chairs, maybe this is a table. Just maybe. I have no idea. But that's how incredible I think this work is. I'm going back to, or using this example because of the background. There's no separation between floor and walls. There's no architectural anything. There's no other object, nothing going on. And then the only detail, look at this, guys. The only detail is on the face and the upper part of the jacket. That's the darkest area. And boom, stops right here. Stops right here. No words. I just have no words. I think this is just absolutely incredible. Sorry. Yeah, and this is burnt sienna, 100% sure. Maybe there is some other red right here, and maybe there is a darker, maybe it's asphaltum right there. Who knows? I'm gonna share with you, I think, if I can find it, Jen. Yeah, a really unsettling portrait. It's in the National Gallery in London. If you can add it to the folder, I'm gonna just text it to you.
Sure.
Sorry. Okay. It's really weird, but also interesting in the way the color is used. Okay, so just going back here, I'm just gonna continue. I'm gonna do just turpentine here. I mean, turpentine solvent.
Leo, I actually don't think that I have the folder,
Oh, the link.
the link for the pictures.
Oh. Here we go. Here we go. I texted to you, and I'm gonna put it to.
Yeah, texting is fine. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just added it as well. It's I miss this portrait when I was compiling images, but I just saw it this morning and I was like, wow. Again, this fascination with dark pupils and irises. It almost looks like the iris and the pupil are the same tone. It's really weird and interesting. Okay, so I'm just practicing. I'm practicing with a couple of tones, the raw umber and burnt sienna. And changing some areas, but I'm gonna wait until I have everything filled. And then I think I'm gonna start with ecru. There's no way. There's no way I'm not gonna use ecru. I mean, it would be super interesting. And I cannot do this sfumato yet. I think this is as far as I'm gonna go with my imprimatura. And I'm gonna also, again, kind of like think about the work, think about the style, and infuse it in my own practice. I don't have to make an effort. I love this idea of we already have all the tools. So there's something about this that I find important. It's almost like a self-help of sorts advice. We are already talented. We have already the right tools. We are already experienced. We have everything that we need in order to create a painting, an exceptional painting. It's already within us. And I like this sort of like approaches to confidence, I guess, or but at the same time, I feel like, yes, that's happening, but we need to focus on it. Just because we think we've got everything within us doesn't mean like we're off the hook and, you know, there's no work to be done. I feel like that's the missing part in this component. Yes, I do believe that everything is within us, and I'm applying specifically this concept to painting. But I need to put an effort into it. I need to focus. I need to concentrate. I need to, I wouldn't use the word demand, but I need to raise the bar. I need to raise the bar and actually have an expectation. I don't think that's bad. I think the pairing of finding confidence in thinking that I've already got everything I need to make a beautiful piece of art. Pairing it with, I need to put all my senses into it. I need to focus fully. Yeah. Okay, sorry, hold on 1 second. Yeah, let me just check. Okay, so anyhow, so I think that is it. That is it. That's it. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm already excited because it looks unconventional. It feels like so different than what we've done before. I love when we challenge ourselves to do something that feels different. I feel like I've taken a side path towards wilderness. That makes me super excited. So I'm gonna stop here, maybe just add some liquid. on the dry patches. And here we go. And I didn't even look at the time, but that's perfect timing. So, okay. All right, so it's happening. And then what? So I consider this my imprimatura. I think I'm done with this. So that will be my imprimatur. In fact, I think I could just work a little bit more. Oh yeah. All right, so try this if you can. Just with solvent, if the surface allows, I feel like that's a good way to remove some of the paint and bring some highlights without using, maybe that's demanding too much, without using any lighter tones. In other words, I'm wiping off, I'm dissolving and wiping off. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. And there's something actually comforting about not having this portrait upside down, because I don't recognize anything and I feel much more, meaning like resemblance doesn't jump out of the portrait and becomes this sort of like obstacle for me to continue. I cannot really pinpoint if this resembles myself or not when it's upside down. So it kind of like frees me from judging too much and getting too caught up. So yeah, it's not a bad trick. Okay. All right, so I think I'm gonna go for the first color nodes. And because we have a limited palette, I think now, gosh, I think now this needs to, drawing wise, this needs to change. So I think I'm going to use, I don't want to use any other darker node. I'm gonna start changing things on the drawing component, because I feel like this is a little bit longer. So right now I'm going in with oil and paint. Just oil and paint and kind of like going over the darker areas. I'm gonna hold off the ecru. I'm gonna hold off the ecru a tad longer because I feel like I could build a little bit. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm gonna build a little bit more opacity before I start using the ecru. Like shorter brush strokes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to use the solvent because I feel like drawing wise, there are things that I could change. The bone on my forehead, it's bowing a lot more. It's not as flat. So I'm dissolving paint right now and trying to exaggerate that bone. And then going back with just paint and reshaping. Yeah. So mostly I'm working on edge quality, which is one of the things that we talk about during the first color notes. The most, it's just so beautiful how much we've learned together by working. I'm always humbled by how much information and knowledge we have accumulated over years now, and how we have shifted our perspective on what's more important and what's essential and what's non-essential. And I just remember this transition to making the first color notes a really crucial part of the process, and trying to articulate it and saying that it's a combination of edge work and color direction. And So anyhow, just a little preamble to say that that's what I'm working on right now. Edge quality, or maybe even drawing with color direction. And in this case, just using just using raw umber. Oil and raw umber. I'm not going to rush. I'm content with the speed of development. I retain the example, the images we are using as an example, especially the last one, this sheer, almost like not even full form study, and use those examples as inspiration. Oh, I'm loving it. All right, so any other notes? Jen, was he part of any groups at the time? Was he friends apart from Gauguin with someone else?
Let's see.
Yeah, I just find it interesting. There's not much.
Did we talk about how he was a prisoner?
No.
Okay, so he was born.
He was born in jail.
Saint Saint Denis. So was born in I guess in a certain something like Grenay-sur-Marne. I'm sure I'm butchering that. We said that he studied at École des Beaux-Arts in Paris and later under Cabanel. Does that ring a bell?
No.
That correctly? Okay. During the Franco-Prussian War, he passed some time as a prisoner in Dresden, where the art of Rubens made a lasting impression on him, as may be seen in the glowing colors of his early paintings. And then in 1890, he talked about how he adopted this style.
Wow.
Okay, he was one of the leaders of the secessionist movement, which led to the founding of Société Nationale des Beaux-Arts. At the Société, he exhibited, among other works, and then it lists a few things. He played an influential role as an art teacher at Académie de la Palette. He also modeled a monument to Verlaine in the style of Rodin and wrote gracefully and interestingly on art subjects. That's what WikiArt does.
Say that again?
That's how they describe him on WikiArt.
Oh.
That he wrote gracefully and interestingly on art subjects. I'd like to read some of his readings, his writings. Oh yeah, I want to see if he has been auctioned off and what.
Yeah.
Let's look that up.
All right, it's kind of like going over. Yeah, the work doesn't come across very often in shows. I mean, in auctions.
Is First Dibs a real thing or is it like copies of something?
No, no, no. I could see his work being in First Dips because he's not like that famous. And there are some art dealers in First Dips that they kind of like sell some pretty, wow.
Wow. Okay. So,
What's on First Dips?
okay. So there's one painting that's, I mean, this just sounds so crazy. $3,000?
Yeah,
Okay.
that doesn't sound crazy at all.
So it's,
Can you put the link?
yeah, Le Fondeur. It's 3,000. It's so funny. You can like see it in different places. Oh, so this is a color lithograph. Okay,
Oh, okay,
if
okay.
there's something.
That makes sense.
Okay, so let me look at this one. This one's price upon request. So that's
Oh, yeah.
the most. And let's see what it says. Yeah, lithograph. Okay,
Okay.
so let me get off of this and find.
In the meantime, I am just using the rack because I want to diffuse. I want to start diffusing some edges, edge quality, very important. So I just want to make sure that it's not super sharp, especially on the hair. So I'm just doing some blurring, tapping, stippling. I'm doing darker notes, darker to lighter. And oil. I'm not doing solvent. I'm putting oil and letting the oil kind of like carry the pigment that it's not dry. So this is it's a good idea. So instead of using solvent, look what I'm doing. I'm just using the oil and letting the oil disperse the pigment. So by dispersing the pigment, I make the paint lighter and I do like shorter brush strokes. So it gets a little less streaky. And keeping this area slightly sharper, the area of the forehead. So this is the silhouette, the bone silhouette of the face. I think this is the most important part of the portrait. So I'm gonna reinforce that.
Okay, I just sent you a link of something I found. It just seems so wild. The prices just seem so low, but I think this is his paintings.
Yeah, this reminds me a few years ago. I mean, it wasn't $3,000, but I saw Beth Morisot at the LA Art Show.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was $18,000 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And and it was a big painting, and I was kind of like blown away. I was just blown away. I mean, it's a lot of money, but now
Right.
our prices are, super high. Okay, so I'm opening the link. 1 second. And let me just check 1 second. 1 second. Copy. Maybe it still for sale? Maybe it was like a sale. So yeah, sold at auction. No, that can't be.
Oh yeah, the first one's crazy, but if you start scrolling down,
Yeah.
you can see like, I mean, the two sisters, and it looks like, I mean, it says sign lower left, framed under glass. I mean, it's just copies.
It doesn't say when. Oh, It does say when this was sold. Wow. Okay, so you guys, maybe.
I mean, maybe if we all pitch in.
Yeah,
It's kind of wild. Julio, you need one of these.
I think so. Are we wrong in kind of like
I don't know. I mean,
recognizing this?
it says item overview, signed lower left, dimensions, the artist, the medium. It doesn't ever say like copy or
Yeah, no. Okay, lot 61. This is a portrait. This is a gouache portrait. 120 euros. Well, that was the starting price. Oh my gosh, let's kind of like check. No, they don't let us go in.
yeah.
Oh, sold. I don't know. You guys need to invest. We need to invest in his work.
Right? I mean, look at this one.
Yeah, this one kind of like sounds, yeah, more like what I
Mhm.
imagine. Sold.
But still.
Yeah, it's still, yeah. Between $6,000 and $8,000.
Oh yeah.
They don't show, no, this is the real, this is legit. They
This
don't
real,
show,
yeah.
yeah. Are we wrong to like these
And
artists? I love this work.
no, we're not wrong.
And he was like really up there with everyone else.
No, maybe they can't find a lot of his work or
I don't know. This is freaking stunning.
I know.
This is stunning.
For 6 grand? It's gorgeous.
Wow. Okay.
Oil on canvas.
Yeah, no, that is that I mean that is study of a woman reading. That's a drawing for 300. Wow. I love this. Between 1,500 and okay, so I mean this is sort of like maybe the initial price and then the resulting or it may be just a different.
Yeah.
Um, this is
It's
fabulous.
beautiful.
Yeah, this is just so cool. And this was painted kind of closing now. All right. Well, no idea. This was dated. Didn't say the date. Okay. All right. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. This is
Maybe those other things were real because it says in the description of him that he was a lithographer. Is that how you say it?
yeah.
So maybe the other ones were real too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Just we'll take credit for his amazing prices in a few years, I guess. We can say we told you so. Look, this one even with the frame, original frame maybe.
Yeah.
So would you find, thanks for this and add it to the notes, please.
Yes, already done.
Would you find if there's the artist atelier? I just saw one painting that comes from the atelier. If there is his studio and if there is a museum of his work or studio museum, or this is gorgeous.
Okay.
And I just want to put this in the gallery. Let me see if I can save them. I'm just gonna save, let's save this. Okay, anyhow. Okay, Jen, yeah. All right, so I'm just gonna, I'm continuing with the approach to doing a little bit more consistent or opacity, carving out some brush strokes by using the solvent, and kind of like building almost as if I were using matchsticks to build a little building, one matchstick at a time. And by matchstick, I would say brush stroke, but kind of like the same idea, a little matchstick. And carving, I'm going to take advantage of the wood actually before. I'm glad I didn't cover the entire thing. So I'm using solvent and diluting with the solvent. I'm diluting the paint. And then with some oil and raw umber, I'm going to increase the value in certain spots, like this shadow, for example. I want to see if with solvent alone, I can clean this area right here, which I think I can. Oh yeah, I removed a lot of paint from this edge. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna keep building, but I like this idea of almost like sculpting with a single tone. See if I can do any hair in between. I think I can. I'm trying to dissolve some of the spaces in between. Yeah, I think that's okay. And bring some of the hair. And reshaping those areas once more. Okay, so I think this works. So I'm restraining the addition of steps, restraining the addition, rather of steps, restraining the addition of paint, and trying to, what would be the verb? Anyhow, so trying to extend the manipulation of the elements that I already have by using solvent to carve light, using the rag to rub off. And then again, building some shadows. I'm going to use some burnt sienna to kind of like build a little bit of a different tone right here, slightly lighter than the raw umber. Here we go, slightly lighter. So I think this kind of like works. All right, it does work. I'm liking the manipulation. I wonder how much, I mean, I know that this is a question we shouldn't ask an artist, but how much time he spent on its painting? Because some of them, they look really fresh and like a la prima, right, Jen?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So no atelier, I'm assuming.
I don't
Okay. Yeah, it's okay.
know.
Yeah. You sometimes, the homes of the artist worked or something like that.
Say that again, Julio. You broke up a little bit.
Sometimes the homes of the artist were preserved or they were turned into museums, or maybe there's not a museum, but there's a house.
Yeah. We'll keep digging.
So
just in a Google search, it doesn't come up, but let me just get more specific.
Okay. I'm gonna try to be super thrifty with the paint. Just inspired by this incredible images. I would love to also find, I don't know, just find if he left some letters explaining why he used this palette. I just feel like he was very intentional. There must have been a really spiritual reason why he used this. Something, I don't know.
Yeah, he seems like such a mystery.
Okay, squinting my eyes, just to kind of like find the blur where it ends, what shape it has. And then I'm just gonna use I feel like my eyes have acclimated to the variations of the values. And at the beginning, I just felt, I was done. But I feel like now I have tools. I have tools. This is so absorbing. I'm not tracking time as much as I usually do, kind of like keeping that that eye on the clock. But I'm just really fascinated. Okay, a little lighter. Ah, I love this.
Oh my God, Julio.
Yeah.
Carrier had throat cancer and he was left mute after a second operation in 1905.
Oh, wow.
He died the next year.
How old was he when he died?
57. So it sounds like he and Rodin were super close.
Super close.
Yeah, it says that the painter cherished his friendship with Rodin above all other artistic alliances, writing to the sculptor with unrestrained appreciation after his first operation for throat cancer, quote, "You are the greatest joy that I have found in my artistic life. In you, I have found the security and confirmation of all my thoughts. You alone have discovered natural laws and the unity of forms." That's what he wrote to Rodin. Yeah, the guy was a writer.
Wow.
Rodin served as one of the executors and gave the eulogy. In it, he said, this is of Carrier, abundant source of wisdom, his work speaks intimately of hope. It shows us the joys that are right close to us, where out of habit we neglect to look. Carrier, benefactor, spirit informed of the only realities, teaches us that the innermost of our being is rich in treasures. He sets ajar the door to that charming country. Oh, Julio, listen to this sentence. Sorry, I'm so excited. He sets ajar the door to that charming country, which is ourselves.
Wow.
Holy moly.
Okay, copy paste, please, on the note.
Yes, he is a guide for future artists. His work will lead them through wisdom to glory. Gorgy, gorgy,
Yeah.
gorgy.
Wow.
Okay, I'm like taking a screenshot of this and posting it directly, and then I'll put the
Oh
entire
my gosh. Okay.
link because this is beautiful. This is from the Met.
Wow. What's going on with art history?
I don't know.
This is so beautiful.
So beautiful.
Wow.
Oh, I love it. Okay. All right.
Wow. Okay, I'm glad you found this. Thank you, Jen.
My pleasure. That sentence was pretty life-changing.
Wow. Was he successful? Obviously, he was during his lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, it in this article it says that he was the one that kind of like brought Rodin up, that he like essentially accounted for him in these like little groups and societies and that sort of thing. I wonder if it's just like his youth to where he stopped, making work, and so we don't know him as well.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty bonkers.
Interesting. When did he die? What date?
I think it's 1906, but let me double check. It is, yeah, 1906.
Um,
In January of 1849 and died in March of 1906 in Paris.
March, which day in March?
27th.
Interesting.
So he was a Capricorn, January 16th.
These paintings are so Capricorn, you have no idea if he was.
I mean, the color choice alone.
Okay, can we find out?
The earth.
Can you confirm? Because that's amazing.
Yes. I'm pretty sure January 16th is Cap, but yeah, Capricorns.
Wow, total Capricorn palette.
It says Capricorns born on January 16th have psychic ability and can channel their inner energy toward facilitation of worldly goals. Although they have the temperament of a loner, they love people.
Interesting. Okay, no, I'm just saying, I'm asking the date just because there's this other book that we read, This Is Kids, that you, Jen, recommended, and I'm so glad you did. It's the autobiography of
Patti Smith and
Patti Smith, Patti Smith, and she writes about herself and then her friendship to Robert Mapplethorpe at a specific time. Really amazing. So Patti Smith is on Instagram. She has an account and she writes poems. She takes photographs and then she writes poems based on the photographs. She also performs, and I mean, highly recommend you follow her Instagram because she's just wonderful. It's such a, it's such a great account. She performed, she performed in Barcelona recently to huge crowds, so big and so enthusiastic that she was almost like emotional. So that made me so happy. Anyhow, she has this kind of like tradition in which she celebrates the life of the writers that she loves, and they're mostly French writers. Patti Smith has been given the Legion of Honor, the French Legion of Honor, by the way, I think recently. So it kind of like tells you how throughout her life, she's always revered French romantic writers. Her favorite writer is Rimbaud, a famous French poet. So every year, she goes to the grave of Rimbaud and she either places a flower on the stone or does something. And I just find it so touching that she does this in a very, as a ritual, you know, going to the graveyard of the writer and then paying homage to their life and writing a poem about it. Yeah, anyhow, I thought that this is a great tradition.
I love it.
Yeah, so yeah, really, really underrated, iconic cultural figure, Patti Smith.
Yeah, I love that she's still performing and
Yeah,
alive, frankly.
yeah, no, it's just really interesting because she kind of like opens her life to the viewers in a very humble way. So refreshing, so interesting. Wow. Okay, so perfect. Yeah, we still have like plenty of time. So this is what I find myself doing. I feel like on that not U-turn, that kind of like off-road path that I've taken, with the painting, the limited palette. I thought I made some notes yesterday of colors that were potentially were going to be part of the palette, like the Van Dyke brown and the pink brown or the brown pink. I'm always confused, and things like that. As a maybe possible colors to use on this palette. But having sort of like entered the painting and the process and spent time and analyzing and studying and looking at the paintings, I feel more and more comfortable so far, at least for this entire session, just sticking with two colors. I'm just sticking with two colors, raw umber and burnt sienna. I will not use ecru on this session. Yes, I just feel like I'm molding edges, carving highlights, trying to keep that polarity really narrow between dark and light by not using any ecru whatsoever and letting the brown of the wood of the panel be part of the painting. I feel like I can find progression in elevating the work without the need to add paint. So that's where I'm at. That's my observation, discovery, and thing that I just wanted to kind of like share in this next kind of like 15 minutes. I will continue adding some shadows by using oil and carving some highlights by using the solvent. Yeah. I know there was a sculpture of him somewhere. I saw of the artist, of the painter. I saw someone posting an image of a sculpture of him, I think in France. Oh, I love these sessions, Jen. Thanks for finding. I've missed you. It's not the same without you.
I miss you too, friend.
I love finding these discoveries and learning together. It's just so great.
I completely agree. I always feel, I mean, you know, Ruthless, I feel so incredibly grateful for, period, end of story. But just the constant education
Yeah,
is so valuable and opens up so many things beyond just art education, I think.
right, right. I agree. I agree. Yeah, but yeah, it's so great. Okay, so rubbing, it's kind of like working on the shadow. I'm gonna try to shape this up a little bit more, removing some hair by using the solvent. Oops, wiping, and I think it's pretty cool. So I'm just gonna continue bringing some oil, some spots. Um, so, slicing some areas, drawing some hairlines. Maybe I'll use a really thin brush. I have a brush that it's really small and it feels like a stub, like a really short bristles that they don't even move, but they help me to create lines. Okay. I'm gonna also same advice as usual, be scattered, don't spend too much time on one section. Just move from section to section. I'm gonna try to bring some highlights on the t-shirt, bring a little bit of a darker area around it with oil. Maybe just kind of like polish this section. And then blend it with some oil. So the trick or the idea or the interest here of these paintings, it sort of like it challenges you to rethink and redefine what a finished painting should look like. That's why I find this fascinating. Yes, we're very used to seeing amazing work that it's so intricate and sophisticated and with so much technique and so much variety and range and wide spectrum. We always talk about how it's important to diversify and process colors to make sure they're not compartmentalized. So there's a lot of things that kind of like are important. This work, this style confronts you in the sense that it makes you reflect on what really a finished painting should look like. That's why I find it interesting and fascinating, because it's not the typical definition of what a finished painting should look like. And I love that. I love that idea, especially in the late 1800s. When the first exhibition of the refugees, the Salon de Refugees, I think there was something even after. There was this huge protest by artists that never made it to the salons. And they tried, and they were kind of like experimenting with new techniques and they had new tools. So they protested so much that the officials opened up the Salon de Refugees. But at the same time, there were other opportunities to exhibit work that they were more private. And the most famous one, in which is considered the birth of Impressionism, it was, I forgot the name of the building, but it was just a few artists. Berthe Morisot was part of the show. She was the only female artist. And yeah, so there was a huge backlash. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. the critics slammed that show, which is now considered a really important exhibition. The comments from the critics were brutal. This is not finished. Wallpaper looks better than these paintings. It's funny to go over all the comments, the snarky comments, the sarcasm that the critics used to take down those paintings. At the same time, after this kind of like style, Matisse started like the Fauvism, which we know it lasted only 3 years. And the reason why it lasted 3 years is because the critics hated it so much and they wrote so many bad things about the style and the movement that officially they killed the movement. It only lasted 3 years. And that happened after this work was painted. So I'm baffled and at the same time intrigued on how the artists were savages with work that seems much more developed and much more interesting, and yet he wasn't the target of those art critics. It's kind of like it's interesting. I just find it interesting because I find the work as confronting as the Impressionists at the time in a different way, maybe, but certainly the use of color, it's totally different. And it seems like he wasn't criticized. Who knows?
Do you think maybe like the idea of, how do I say this? Like maybe he wasn't famous enough at the time to be criticized. Does that make it
what?
Like famous enough?
Famous enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, maybe it was sort of like, yeah, that's a good point, Jen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just about I don't know, maybe like actors now, or like if you're getting any sort of criticism, I guess, at least,
Yeah.
like there's this thought of like, well, at least they know who I am.
Right, right. You're right. Yeah, I think that's a totally valid point, actually.
Who knows?
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, if the prices of his works are so low, I mean, how much did people pay at the time? I mean, how did he survive? Was painting his only source of income? Was he well off? I mean,
Right. Let's look. Let's see if there's anything about that.
yeah, anything about the commercial success, or because he painted a lot. There's a lot of work, so it's not like he painted a lot.
Okay, let's see.
Any? Well, you let us know if you find it, but yeah, that's kind of like intriguing because, at the time, I know that some of those artists found collectors at the time, and they were able to survive with their art. So I just wonder if he was also part of that. I mean, there were some, like Monet was, I think it was Monet. He was like so poor. He was always struggling with income. Was it? There was one painter that went to Peru because he had so little money, and I think one of the impressionists.
Hmm.
Um,
It says, okay, he grew up in Strasbourg, the sixth of seven children in a working class family. He attended the city's academy in 1862 and 2 years later worked as a commercial lithographer. In 1869, he moved to Paris. He discovered the art of the old masters, Rubens in particular, which influenced his decision, oh my gosh, his decision to become an artist. And that's when he went to school, blah, blah, blah. His career took off slowly in salons of 1876, 77, 78. His paintings received little recognition.
so formal salons, he wasn't rejected.
Seems so.
Wow.
1878, he married Sophie de Montessu, with whom he would have 7 children.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so he probably was broke.
Okay.
The couple spent 6 months in London, where he discovered the work of Turner. Back in Paris, he spent the next decade working odd jobs, most often print shops to sustain his family.
So he did work in other things.
It seems so. And
Okay.
it seems that through his brother worked as a ceramist at a porcelain factory, and that's where he met Rodin.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Okay.
So he worked at a porcelain factory?
His brother did.
But did his brother, okay, but he didn't, it doesn't say like he actually worked there maybe or not? Okay.
It's through his brother, a ceramist. Oh, no, you're right. Through his brother, a ceramist, Carrier began working in 1880 for the Cervais porcelain factory and there met sculptor Auguste Rodin.
Okay. Would it be, I'm kind of like thinking, maybe he worked with mud, with clay, with clay. And there's something earthy about this palette that maybe was influenced by working with clay at the factory.
Could be, friend.
Could be, right?
Very much could be.
Okay.
It says his success as a painter began in the Salon of 1884 when his entry received an honorable mention.
What?
His good fortune continued with awards at the salons of 1885 and 1887. 2 years later, he got a Medal of Universal Exposition at the Legion of Honor. And that indicated how well his work was received by critics, artists, and writers. From 1890 to 1897.
Okay, I'm going to buy one of those drawings.
You should.
I'm going to buy one of those drawings.
His most fruitful years as an artist began making lithographs and frequently traveled abroad. He was connected with the most important critics and avant-garde artists of the time, such as Bonnard, Gauguin, Vuillard,
yeah.
Paul Seruzier. I'm sure I'm butchering this. He was also admired by the symbolists for the dreamlike quality of his paintings. In 1890, he associated himself with, Messier, Rodin, Felix Bracquemond, and Puy de Chevennet, who founded the Société Nationale des Beaux-Arts in opposition to the official system of the Salon des Artistes Français. In 1903, in an effort to oppose restrictive rules of the Société Nationale, Carrier established a new salon, Salon d'Autonomie, and was named its president. Exhibition history. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry. That's just at this particular museum. That's not helpful.
Okay. I will
put this into.
Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I'll add this too.
Okay, yeah, please. All right, I'm gonna, we're gonna kind of like end in 5 minutes and then we're gonna take a break. I cannot tell you how much I miss doing this and how much I've enjoyed it. And I hope everyone joining us today has had like a good experience. In addition, I love my painting. I'm very happy with the decisions that I made. I still plan to work on it many more sessions. I don't know what I'm gonna do, honestly, with Ecru, if I'm gonna incorporate it or not. I probably will, but maybe I'll start more with burnt sienna instead. I certainly want to do some, I don't know. I don't know what direction I'm going to take with the piece, but I'm extremely happy with this kind of like stage. I'm gonna do a few things even before, so maybe I have like a few minutes because I want to just lighten up the eyes. I'm not. Oh, were you able to put the baby image in the folder, Jen?
Yes.
Okay, just because we can talk about it like maybe later when we. Yeah, it's like really. It's really strange. It's really strange. Anyhow, we'll talk about it later when we. Yeah, come back. But anyhow, I just wanted to carve out a little bit of light from the iris. I'm not a fan of like doing the iris super dark for now. Maybe I'll just use a darker color for the pupil, but I'm gonna keep the iris a little bit light because I feel like it's super expressive if I do it that way. So I'm removing color. Such a great exercise, by the way. Such a great exercise, I have to say. And yeah, I'll just do a few more touches here and there, letting this sort of like a abstract. Oh, I think it's just so wonderful. Oh my gosh. Okay, so anyhow, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a 10-minute break. We're gonna stop the recording, then we're gonna reconvene. We're gonna get together. Hopefully, if you have time, we'd love for you to join us. And then also, if you want to share your work, your stage, regardless, the subject, the palette, we don't care. We just want to kind of like have an opportunity to exchange and have a dialogue. And in the meantime, make sure you stretch, you walk, you leave the space and you come back, you drink, maybe you eat something, listen to the needs of your body, because we are so engaged in what we do that we forget for a couple of hours not to breathe, but almost. So I'm gonna take a photo of both things and put it in the folder. We recommend, or we encourage you to do the same. And yeah, I can't wait to talk about the pieces and the paintings. We'll see you. I'm gonna stop the recording right now. We're not gonna record after. I'm gonna stop the recording right now. Thank you so much. This was so good. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we'll see you in 10 minutes. If I can, did I record this? I think I started recording, right? Uh-oh.
You did. You're recording.
Okay. Thingy. Oh, here it is. Okay, a red big button that says end. No, that's not it.
No.
Okay, wait.
But you don't want to end it, right? You
No.
No, you're closer.
Oh, I see it. Oh my gosh, so dumb. Okay, we'll see you in 10 minutes.